Well, hey there, everybody. It's Kris from Rate the Record podcast. And, okay, let's try that one again. Immediately choked. And yes, it's that time of the week again. The new music review. I think it's like the official title of the show now. Regardless, yes, it's that time. I got 3 songs. I'm going to tell you all about them. No weird fancy edits this week. I got a lot going on this week. So let's just hop into it, I guess. So first up, we have blackmidi, the jazz, prog rock, experimental rock, whatever you want to call it, type band out of London, England. Just dropped a brand new EP of covers called Caval Covers, and this, of course, is a play on their 2021 album Cavalcade. Out of the 3 covers that appear on this EP, the very first one that actually appeared for me was their cover of Taylor Swift's Love Story, interestingly enough. That seems like more of a Savannah thing to cover, but this is mine this week, so let's check it out. Now, up to this point, I haven't heard many blackmidi songs, but as compared to the ones I have heard so far, this is probably one of the more popular compositions I think I've heard the band play. But again, to be fair, it is a cover song, it is a Taylor Swift song, so I at least have that in mind. I like the addition of the horns in the back of this song, which kind of starts in the beginning and works its way through a little bit. It gives it more of that jazzier indie pop kind of feel. The vocals didn't sound like they were really trying all that hard. I mean, it just felt very lethargic and uninterested. Other than these interesting electric guitars that kind of pop up in the background every once in a while, like throughout the entire track, everything about this song just feels so painfully generic. And again, yes, I know it is a cover song, but you think they would have taken a little more liberty and like kind of making the cover their own rather than just almost doing it beat for beat. At the very least, the song kind of just builds into this very grand final chorus at the end of the song. Like you can feel the building throughout the entire track. But the problem is the entire track is just kind of a snooze. I didn't really feel excited as it was progressing, and it just didn't really do much to make me care to hear more. Now, admittedly, as I said prior, I haven't heard too much of blackmidi's music, but I have heard a little bit of it, and it actually is really exciting stuff. It sounds pretty fun, and I can't wait to actually check out a full album. So I won't let this track sour the mood on how I want to listen to this band going forward, but I can't see any reason in my own control that I'd ever have to come back to this song ever again. Alright, so next up on the list we have Sonic Youth, and Sonic Youth was, or is, I guess, since they're back, an American alternative rock band out of New York City. Again, I say is because yes, they are back after an 11-year hiatus or split, however you want to look at it. They just dropped a brand new EP called In Out In back on March 18th, and this is the band's very first new round of music since The Eternal, which dropped all the way back in 2009. So it's been 13 years between brand new tracks. Let's have a listen. By the way, the song I'm doing is called Basement Contender. It was the first one that popped up on their Bandcamp, so I'm just gonna do that one. Sitting in at just over 9.5 minutes, there's actually not a lot to unpack here overall. The track starts with these gentle guitar melodies and soft drum passes. The mix on this one is a little strange because it feels like some guitar parts are way more front-facing than others, and it's kind of like random points on when they come in and out. Generally, I do like how this track plays out. It feels like it was like a cheap jam session done with a few microphones, but it does sound pretty though. By about the 4-minute mark though, when that rolls around, I started wondering to myself if this song had anything else to offer because it had been pretty much the exact same up to this point. Aside from these lightly fuzzed guitars and very sparse effects, again, it just plays out more of the same through the entire thing, and it felt really lackluster. Maybe I wasn't in the mood for this song, maybe there wasn't enough keeping my interest, but I was really hoping that this track would have given me more, especially for its runtime. Quite honestly, I was done with this track by the 7-minute mark. I had to get that far to feel that way about it, because quite honestly, it feels like nothing had changed from the very first minute of the song. Plus, it's an instrumental track as well, so there's not even any real lyrical breakdown I can do just to kind of, you know, fill the void. This might be one of those tracks you can have on in the background while you're doing some sort of monotonous tasks, but honestly, to sit down and review this song, was incredibly difficult, and I was actually just kind of glad when it was over. I know Sonic Youth did a lot of great things in the 90s. They've released 15 studio albums, and they probably got some great music, but this was not one of those tracks. The final band that I'm looking at today is Wallows out of Los Angeles, California. They just released their second full-length album back on March 25th called Tell Me That It's Over. And the track from that album I'm looking at today is called At the End of the Day, and we're nearing the end of the review, so perfect title. Let's take a look at it. Some sequenced beeps and bloops start off this track, and those are eventually ridden into this soft melody of echoey and wind-chimey guitars. Airy drifting synths really keep a relatively calm atmosphere in this song, and then you have these kind of breathy, reverb vocals that just feel like an additional layer to the synths on top of that. The chorus does pick up the energy a little bit in what I consider to be a very appropriate amount. It doesn't go too crazy or anything like that. Then you have these 16th note, like hi-hat, disco-esque type groove going on, and I thought that was a lot of fun. The track follows a pretty safe composition, fairly run-of-the-mill synthwave dream pop type composition. It's a general feel-good track without getting too excitable. Overall, it's a nice track to have on. I didn't love the song, but I definitely didn't hate it. It's probably the better of the 3 tracks that I cover this week, so it at least has that going for it. And those are the 3 singles I have this week. I know it was generally shorter than I usually do, but again, I got a lot going on, so I gotta get back to work, you know. Let me know what you thought of today's singles. I'm always curious for your opinion. Please let me know down in the comments below, or you can also let me know over on the social media at Rate the Record Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course Twitter's at Rate the Record. So anyone there, trust me, I'll see them. And don't forget to go check out Savannah's picks as well. She does 3 just like I do every single week, so you can go see what she picked out. Maybe they're tons better than mine was this week, because it was pretty negative for me this week, I guess. Don't forget, we also have the podcast, the Rate the Record Podcast, the staple of the channel, the name of the channel. We just released a new episode on Monday, as we do every single Monday, and we looked at Primus and their album Sailing the Seas of Cheese. We were really excited to get down and do this one, especially because Savannah hadn't heard this album before, so I think you should definitely check this one out. It's a lot of fun. And don't forget, aside from liking, subscribing, following, sharing, and all that kind of stuff, supporting us, which we truly appreciate all the time, you can support us on Ko-fi as well. Completely optional, but the option is there, kofi.com/ratetherecord. If you feel like you want to help financially support this podcast to help us grow bigger, it is there, but don't worry, the content's always free regardless, so again, optional. Alright, so I think that's everything I have to say now. So until I see you next week for the podcast, have yourself a fantastic week. Take care, friends.